Good evening, everybody. It's 8 o'clock Thursday night. It's time for Treasure Tales. I hope everybody's doing well. And the weather here in North Florida at the Treasure Talk Studios, it was about 57 or 58 today. So I had a busy day out running errands and things. But I'm going to do a little digging tomorrow. My good buddy John David is coming over tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to go out and dig for a couple hours to just get the old spade in the dirt, hopefully, and get out and get a little fresh air and see what we can find. And we'll go back out to this old place that I've hunted, and another friend of mine, the Mumbles man, we've hunted it. Hadn't found too much stuff, but you never know. There's still got to be stuff there. So I've tweaked a couple of programs on my Deus too. So I want to try those out and see, if I go a little deeper and with some of the modifications, change some tone breaks and different things, and just see how that works out. So we'll see. It's supposed to be a little chilly tomorrow, high at about 56, 57, but it's supposed to be sunny and not a lot of wind, so we should be in good shape. So lots of things happening in the world of metal detecting. Um, As you guys probably know, there's a lot of new detectors out. And if this is your first time tuning in to Treasure Tales and you have never tuned into Treasure Talk is on Monday nights at 7 p.m. My brother from another mother, Phil Myers, and I, we do that show along with his wife, Jocelyn, who kind of helps keep Phil in line, which is a full-time job. And then we have our other friend from time to time, Big Poppy Joe Vizzi, who works with Phil. He sits in for me when I'm out playing, which there's going to be a lot more of that coming up. Um, I think I've mentioned it, a few times before, but tonight's show is going to be the last Treasure Tales for a while. I'm going on hiatus on Treasure Tales. Treasure Talk is still going to be going just like before, full steam ahead on Monday nights at 7 p.m. But Thursday nights at 8 p.m., I'm going on hiatus for a while. The next time that you will see a Treasure Tales will be in April. I think it is April 13th, if I'm not mistaken, which is going to be a Thursday night. And that will be a big epic Treasure Tales from Sebastian, Florida. I have rented a house down there. I got some friends that are coming to spend the weekend. And we're going to have a big dinner and cocktail hour on Thursday evening. And then at 8 o'clock, I'm going to flip on the camera and turn it around, and you'll get to chat with Terry Shannon, Captain Carl Fismer, Mark Littleton, and he's partners with Captain Fizz in Scuba Wise. And you're also going to get to with Sid and KT Jones of Etosha Treasure Adventures. Now, if you have never watched Treasure Talk, then you missed a couple of really good guests. They've been on a number of times. They worked with Mel Fisher, and they were there, and they put their hands on it when they discovered the main pile of the Etosha. So they are, they've got some great stuff to share. And it's going to be just an epic show, because when you get all those people together talking treasure and treasure hunting, it can't help but be good. Now, to my reasoning, a lot of people, may not think this, but when you produce 2 shows every week, that takes an awful lot of time. It just does. It's a lot of work. It may not show, but trust me, it's a lot of work trying to research guests, communicate with guests, all that kind of stuff that I do every day. I'm just going to take some time. I need a little break. I need to, I'm going to try to go do a little bit more hunting, because I don't get a lot of time to hunt. So I'm going to do that a little bit more. My wife and I are going to do a little traveling, which coming up, we will be at Big Stock. The Mumbles man and myself will be in attendance at Big Stock. We're looking forward to that. That should be a fantastic hunt, and hopefully we'll get to meet a lot of you if you are attending Dig Stock. So we will be there at Dig Stock. And then I'm going to tour through the Carolinas a little bit, take my wife on a little vacation, and and then as soon as we get back from that, pretty soon it'll be time to go to Sebastian. We're gonna hunt the Treasure Coast beaches down there with Terry Shannon, and it's just going to be a real good time, and it's going to be an epic show. So we certainly hope that y'all will tune in on April 13th for the Treasure Tales Epic Show. Now, we're still going to do Treasure Tales. It's just going to be with special occasions, special things that we want to do. Like I said, we're not going to miss a beat with Treasure Talk. Monday night on Treasure Talk, you've got an opportunity to win if you are a member of Treasure Talk YouTube. Now, if y'all aren't members of Treasure Talk YouTube, you need to get over and find the channel, which is Treasure Talk, this channel, and you need to subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications button, and send an email to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com telling me that you have, and I can check and make sure that it's all set up correctly. And then you find the videos that I put up for you to enter. Use the phrase that I tell you to enter. For instance, this coming Monday on Treasure Talk, Phil is giving away a goodie basket. And it's a nice one, too. Let me tell you, it's a Fisher F-Pulse pinpointer, which is a great pinpointer. And he's giving away a Super Myers Metal Detector hat. Probably one of our coveted Myers Metal Detectors towels. Let's see. We do have one of those. See? Now this here. Now that's a coveted dig towel. One of those would be in the mix. And some coin reference books and a couple other things. So it's going to be a really good prize, but you have to be a member and you have to be tuned in to win. So yeah, I always give you a phrase, and the phrase that you have to do is, if Phil don't have it in stock, you don't need it. That's the phrase for Monday night's giveaway. So if you're not a member, get over. You've got, till Monday night at 6:30 to become a member. Send the email and enter, because at 6:30 sharp, entries close for that night. So don't miss a chance, because there's a lot of really good giveaways coming up and a lot of really good shows coming up with Treasure Talk. So we're booked out on Treasure Talk all the way through the end of April. We're working on May right now. So lots of good stuff happening. And you'll see a lot of good things that's happening in a brick and mortar metal detecting shop. And because that's what Phil has. So that's kind of the way things are rolling out, and it should be a good spring and hopefully a real good summer for everybody. So let's go ahead. Anybody's got any questions, you can always just hit me up, and I'll be happy to answer them for you if I can. Let's see how many folks are in the chat tonight. Let's say hello and greet everybody. The first one in the chat was my brother from another mother, the Mumbles Man, Tim Naylor. And then the beautiful Adele Lampersky Rutherford, one of the most talented artists I've ever seen, is in the chat. Good evening, Adele. Robert Ridgway from Pinellas Park. Hello, Robert. Glad to see you tonight. This is a new name for me, but it's really a killer name, Nomad Grandma. Well, Nomad Grandma, we're glad to have you in the chat tonight. Dirty Paws Detecting, Mike and Trish from down in Tampa. Good evening, folks. And there's my brother from another mother, Phil the Guru Myers. He is in the chat tonight. And let's see. Andrew T. Good evening. Glad that you joined us tonight, Andrew. Moose in New York. Glad that you're here, Tim, from out on Long Island. I hope that the weather is not treating you badly up there. I guess you've had a lot of storms and stuff up there. I don't know how much snow and ice you've got, but I hope it's not much. And we've got the Fox in the Ground Detecting. Good evening. Glad that you are here tonight. Let's see. Okay, Maria Reese, the beautiful Maria Reese, one of the most talented people I've ever met. She's a fantastic detectorist, detects up and down the East Coast of Florida, and just kills it. She kills it. She's really, you couldn't meet a nicer person, and she's just outstanding in many ways. So Maria, we're glad that you joined us tonight. Surfside Dan in the house. Um, One other thing, let me cover real quick. Also, Monday night on Treasure Talk, if you all, because it's all about you, the viewing audience, and your detecting and your finds and all that kind of stuff. That's the whole theme of the show Monday night. If you have any finds that you would like us to show on the show, send me an email, send me the pictures, and I will put them up on the screen during the show. We'll talk about them. And if you're in the chat and you want to come on for a minute or two to talk about it, we'll be happy to do that. So make sure you send it. Let me pop up there is the email. Send them to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com, and we'll make sure we get them on the show. Just send them a picture in the email, and we'll get it going. So, anyways, Mandy's Candy, glad that you joined us tonight. I hope you are well. And let's see, Gene P. Yes, Gene, you're late, but always welcome. Thanks, Gene, for tuning in tonight. Practical Ken, yay, Practical Ken. Hopefully, I'll get to see you at Digstock. I think I'll get to see Gene P at Digstock. Some of the others, I don't know if y'all are going, but I hope so. I'd like to shake your hand and make your acquaintance. Ron's digging the Midwest. Ron, glad that you joined us tonight. It's good to see you. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to miss anybody. Las Vegas Urban Treasure Hunter, good evening to you. Glad that you joined us tonight. Dirty Paws Detecting says, what will I do with my Thursday nights? Well, Mike, the best thing I can think of is open a bottle of wine and make Trish a delicious dinner. And drink the wine. And, sounds like a good plan to me. I plan to do some of that. Not with Trish, but, with Susan. Anyway, Joe 4077. Hello, everybody. Hey, Joe. How you doing? Glad you're here. Let's see. Anybody else come in? We're looking here. We may be at the end of the chat of those that are here. If people come in as we go along, I will certainly try to give them a shout out. And we're very happy that y'all joined us tonight. So let's get to going here. We got a good show for the last show before the hiatus. I think we have these two fellas. A lot of you know. If you don't know, you're in for a treat. They've got treasure tales like you can't believe. All kinds of stuff. They're very accomplished. So let's bring them on right now. We have with us tonight the Digologist and the Dime Detective. Let's bring them on. Hey, guys.
Hello.
How you doing? We're doing good. I better reduce that a little bit, get you both in the screen. There we go. How's that?
Much better.
Good. What's going on, guys?
Well, us working guys, we're just we'll try to stay awake during this live stream. I think I had to wake him up a minute ago from the couch in there when he was waiting for you to send the link. But
5-minute power nap does wonders.
Yeah, 5 minutes of nothing but just eyes closed, not doing a thing, it makes a difference.
Well, not doing a thing, but my mind is always on the next metal detecting hunt. So,
Oh
Yeah. And like we were talking earlier, they said, sometimes just sitting there. But a problem with me is if I sit there, I'm going to sleep. There's no getting around that. Pretty soon I'll be sawing logs. So I try not to sit on the couch too much during the day. At night, hey, all bets are off.
I've had a couple of times where I've just been exhausted and fell asleep
Hello,
dreaming,
Gene P. How you doing?
dreaming about metal detecting, and wake up and trying to decide if I'm awake and dreaming or dreaming and really detecting. It's a good place to be.
Yep, can't beat that with a big stick. For anybody out there that doesn't know you guys, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from, where you hunt, and a little bit of background.
All right. My name's John. I live in Portsmouth, Virginia. We're pretty much neighbors. He lives in the county of Suffolk, city of Suffolk. I started metal detecting about 12 years ago, maybe about 11 now, about 11 years ago. Started out on the beach with a $79 metal detector and a $25 pair of headphones. And after that, I was hooked. I was talking to my girlfriend about metal detecting so much that she went out and bought me my first detector. It was a bounty hunter gold digger. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's ever swung any type of bounty hunters out there, but the gold digger is like the beginner one that you want to give your 10-year-old. But you know what? I wasn't complaining because it was free.
Excuse me. And I think a lot of people have started out with bounty hunters. There's still a lot of people who still use them.
That's true. They're getting better. They're keeping a low end so people can afford a starter. And they found a pretty good niche market. This bounty hunter found me lots of change, lots of rings. I found photos on the beach. My first, I'd say, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years was strictly beach detecting, and I was doing that about 2 to 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
on weekends. Got into relic hunting with another fellow that I joined up with. His name was Doug Campbell, and Doug Campbell, he was in some of my early videos, and his YouTube name was Dig Doug. So me and Dig Doug, we wandered down into Surrey County, and we started hunting around there and hunting some creeks and some parks and some other places. Anywhere we could go, we'd see someone, pushing a mower across the yard, and we'd stop and talk to them and get permission and then hunt down there. So that was my relic hunting start, probably about 7 years ago. And Dig Dug eventually moved away. I was out in the middle of a field one day, a place I called Steinfield, and I'm digging a hole, digging a target, and I'm oblivious to anything around me because I'm laser focused right there at that hole. I got my pinpointer down there. I got my camera aiming down in there, and I look up and there's two guys standing there in front of me about 10 feet away. And first thing I noticed was they both had metal detectors. I said, okay, this might not be so bad. And that's when I met Daniel here, Dime Detective, and his brother Doug, who we call Doug Money. He's in most of the videos as well. That's a little bit about me. What about you, Dime? Go ahead.
I'll try to give you the quick rundown, the abbreviated version. Back in the late 90s, I had a friend that had a White's XLT. I'd been looking at metal detectors. He'd gotten it. Neither one of us knew what we were doing. He was kind of getting discouraged, and I said, we need to go to some older houses. I actually went to a door, knocked on a door, got permission. We were out in the yard maybe 10 minutes and got a signal about 8 or 9 inches in the ground. It ended up being a 1916 Mercury dime, which is a last year of the Mercury and Barber dimes. And then I couldn't get him to go metal detecting with me anymore. I guess I clued him in on something. Life events happened. Many years later, I started getting back into metal detecting. the day that I met this guy, about an hour before, my brother had dug a Spanish Real Pistarine from the 1700s. Then about 10 minutes before that, I had dug a 1773 Virginia halfpenny. It's getting the end of the day, and I said, well, I want to go in this other section of the field. And we go over there. There's this metal detector, and there's this guy talking to a hole in the ground, which looked like an ostrich. Ended up being this guy, and they shared our passion for metal detecting and stayed in touch. And now we just pretty much, when one of us goes out, the other one's going out. Share a lot of stories that are on his YouTube.
Yeah, we've been making videos about 4 years now together.
You know, and besides that, I am president of the Tidewater Coin and Relic Metal Detecting Club, which is based out of the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. Last year we had 60 members, hoping to get up to that or exceed that this year. But the big eye opener for me is, you know, I have my style of metal detecting, my preference of metal detecting, my preference of where to go to metal detect. We've got, as we were discussing prior to the show, we've got people of all different age groups, health, work backgrounds in our club. But we all share the same passion for metal detecting. It doesn't matter. Some people strictly beach hunt. Some people strictly relic hunt. I've gotten, whether they know it or not, I've gotten a lot of information that's helped me become a better metal detectorist, and inspired me a lot. And I hope that I've done the same for them.
Well, I think you probably have. I mean, you look at that. Your YouTube channel is growing every day, and everybody that watches your videos, you affect in a positive way.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why a lot of people they learn a lot watching the videos, especially you know, the good channels where you show the good with the bad. It's not all, oh, I found, you know, holding up a big coin you found. You kind of show them what's going on, how you do it. Yeah, you're going to dig some trash and stuff like that, because y'all know as well as I do, there's a lot of people out there that get out there, start metal detecting, and they go to somebody's yard and they start leaving craters. You know, like a meteor shower went through there. And they don't know how to dig a plug, and they don't know how to fill their holes. And if y'all are hunting on the beach, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, we have many stories about that. We've actually gone to a local park and have gone out there to metal detect and looked at the minefield that somebody left and just spent the time that we were going to metal detect actually covering up their holes to keep our hobby from getting a bad name.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of people, they'll go knock on somebody's door and they say, well, yeah, some people already hunted it, and they go, okay, thanks. They must have got everything, and leave. Well, let me tell you what, you guys know as well as I do, that ain't the case. You know, just because it was hunted don't mean they knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh,
You know how they said they had their detectors set up? A lot of people, you know, they say, oh, well, I don't want to dig pull tabs anymore. So they're going to, you know, notch them out. Well, you notch out a lot of good stuff. So they got all this notching going on in their detectors, you know, and it's a wonder they find anything.
you have to pretty much dig it all that I've found. I mean, yeah, we don't want to dig shotgun shells in the woods all day, but that, 13, 14 could also be a colonial flat button.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes a shotgun shell will come up a 21. You dig it up knowing that you got a coin and it's a shotgun shell. It's kind of a bummer, but one thing about metal detectors, we're not easily discouraged. If you're really serious about it, you're really passionate about what you do. I was on a hunt with Dime Detective and his brother Doug the other night. My brother calls me while I'm out there in the field, and I'm talking to him. He says, "What's that beeping sound?" I said, "That's my metal detector." He said, "Oh, I thought you were at the grocery store at the checkout counter." I said, "No, man, my machine's chattering because it wants to hunt. I'm sitting here idle talking to you. So let me get back."
Well, I will say one thing to that I think it's a misconception to new metal detectors to watch a video where people are constantly showing their finds. And this guy will tell you sometimes we will hunt every day for a week and not get anything worth making a video clip out of. And that does not show up on there. Sometimes we run into problems with critters. Sometimes it's the weather, so on and so forth. And we have to keep, I go through a streak where I'm finding, like I did,
the turtle whisperer here,
the turtle whisperer
and the snake whisperer,
and the snake whisperer.
Yeah, that's you.
But I went through a streak where I found 4 Spanish silvers, a King George, a 1903 Chilean $1 mining token, a couple of Civil War buttons, pre-Civil War buttons, and this guy didn't find anything. And he's like getting very discouraged. And I just keep telling him that, don't be a hater, be inspired. And the other night I could tell it was really weighing on him. He was about to give up, and we were about 5 minutes from the truck. And he gets a signal, and he goes, it's probably this, that, and the other. And I said, move your shovel, sweep it again. He swept it again, told me what he was getting on his detector. I said, if you don't dig it by the time I get over there, I'm going to dig it. He reluctantly dug it and ended up coming up with a Carlos III, we believe it's 1762 Spanish half real.
I remember that story going a little different, but we'll go with that. But anyway, yeah, it was coming up 19 to 21 on the Equinox. If anybody's got an Equinox out there, if you get anything, if you're high tone hunting, which I don't suggest, but if you just get tired and you're tired of digging up shotguns, you decide you want to go high tone hunting, go from 16 up. Anything 16 and above could be good. I mean,
anything 16 below could be good too.
Yeah, you could. But if you just want to cherry pick, sometimes I go into cherry picking mode. Like if we're getting ready to leave, I'll just cover a lot of real estate and try to get something that's 16 or above. And if it's 17, 18, I'll dig it. If it's 19, I'll dig it. And getting that half real the other night, that was awesome because I didn't expect it. I knew it was ringing up 19 to 21. I said, well, it could be a penny. Copper penny will give you the same numbers. You cannot go by VDIs. You absolutely cannot. And the Mine Lab, it doesn't make a lot of different sounds. I use 2 tones. In 2 tones, you get your grunt and you get your high tone, and that's it. So if I'm getting a solid tone and the number's not real bouncy, always dig it.
I'll give you my perspective on that. Several metal detectors. I'm currently settled on the Equinox 800. You could do a bunch of different things with the tone, the pitch, 50 tones, 2 tones, so on and so forth. And at first I thought I would like the 50 tones, and I didn't like the singing, but then I settled on 2 tones, and I was kind of back on forth on the fence about that for a while. And then when I started tuning myself in and getting into perspective of let my mind and my body and my senses be an extension of my metal detector and discriminate with my eyes and my ears and listen to what the machine is telling me. I think that's done far more for me digging good targets and not digging trash targets than it would be if I solely relied on what the machine is telling me, because the machine is telling you that there's metal down there, but it's not telling you what it is. And some people have the misconception that it's always going to tell you what's down there. It's not.
Or no, it's not, because it could be something like you say. It could be gold, and that rings up like a pull tab. An Equinox. When I was running my Equinox, I always hunted in 50 tones. When I was dirt digging, and a lot of times even on the beach. On the beach, mostly time I did 5 tone. But now with the Deus 2, I got so many different ways I got it set up in different programs. Like the pitch program, the pitch mode really well. And the relic program is very good as well. But you can't just go by what the VDI says. Sometimes that tone will have a little off ring to it or something like that that just tells you something. You get that sixth sense. I better dig this.
Yeah.
The first gold ring that I dug, we were out at some place that was an old plantation. It's not anymore. There's a ball field there now, somewhat of a park, but not really a park. And we got out, my brother and I got out there and going along, and we just kind of find out it must have been a military range at one time. And we kept digging these bullets after bullets after bullets. And after about 5 or 10, every time I got that signal, I said, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what that is. But this one time, it gave me the same number on the machine, but it sounded cleaner and more precise. And I said, it's probably just one that's deeper. And I started walking away and I said, no, let me dig it and find out. I'd rather dig it and be disappointed than dig it and walk away and always kick myself. And it ended up being a gold wedding band.
Yeah.
But it was coming up the same number as the projectiles that were in the ground.
Yeah. I mean, there's been plenty of times, when I'm out hunting and you get that signal, you say, I know what that is. So you pass it by and I'll get 10 steps back. The head says, you know what? Don't be an idiot. It's going to take
like
you 5 minutes, and so you go back and you dig it. And a lot of times it's exactly what you thought it was. But a couple of times it's not what you thought it was. You say, boy, I'm glad I dug that, So you develop as kind of a sixth sense, I think. I don't know. But, about things like that.
One of the things that I've been doing more and more and more, and like every time I get a target, is I try to make my best guess of what it is before I dig it, based on the numbers, the pitch, the size, everything the machine's telling me, and dig it. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm not, but it's getting more to the point that I am more right than wrong by doing that.
Yep. Another thing that I want to share with people who detect is utilize your pinpoint to your advantage. If you got pinpoint mode on your Equinox and you swing across it, it'll tell you if it's a big target or a small target. You're either going to get a long beep or you're going to get a short little snippet of a sound. And if it's a small target, then of course you got a better chance of it being a ring, a coin, or a very small relic like a button. So
bob wire will give you a high tone, but pinpoint mode will let you know that it's bob wire, because if you start following it, it just keeps going down the tree line. That's Vince. That's bob wire.
Yeah,
I've dug a lot of pipes out of the ground, hoping that they were Civil War muskets, but they ended up being pipes.
Well, one of these times it's going to be a Civil War musket. Now,
That's
guys,
right.
what coils y'all running on your Equinoxes? Both of you have Equinox, right?
Yes. I have a 6-inch coil. I have a stock 11-inch coil, and I have a 15-inch coil. I like the smaller coil when I'm digging in parks and stuff. And it's kind of interesting because I thought I really would find more with the 15-inch coil. But I've somewhat found that I dig just as much, if not more, with the 11-inch coil. 15-inch coil is a little heavier. You do cover a lot more ground, but I am not convinced that I actually get more depth with that. But then with the 6-inch coil, I am actually surprised at the depth that I get with that. I thought that it would just be choked down to 3 or 4, 5 or 6 inches, but no, I've dug stuff at 10 inches with that coil. So, but it doesn't cover a lot of ground.
Right.
And I will say he has an Equinox 800. We know a couple other people that do. My sister-in-law has an Equinox 800, and there have been a couple of times that we've been out, and I've gone over a target and I said, here, sweep this. And their machine with the same settings does not pick up what my machine is picking up. And then I realized I have a carbon fiber shaft on my detector. And surprisingly, I didn't really think, I thought it was just making it lighter. But what I found several things. One is his with the stock shaft seems to pick up more interference
Absolutely does.
than my carbon fiber shaft. But I
Mhm.
also found, and we proved it one night, that I was getting a target 8-10 inches in the ground. Ended up being a Spanish Real Pistarine, but before I dug it, I had him and my sister-in-law sweep it with their machines, and their machines, no matter how they pinpoint it, would not pick it up, but mine just barely got it as a squeaker. And the only difference is we're all running the same coil, same program, is that I have a carbon fiber shaft, and I truly believe that's giving me at least an extra 3 inches, if not 4 inches.
It could be. Very well could be. I never thought about that, but you're probably correct.
I'm running just the standard coil. I haven't bought any extra coils, but I've had such great luck with just the standard coil that comes with it. I decided I'm just going to use it and maybe try a smaller coil if I hit some parks. But we're out in the woods, we're out in the farm fields, so really don't have a lot to use for the tiny coil right now.
Right, right. Well, I was just wondering if any of y'all had tried the Coil Tech coils for the Equinox.
I have looked at them. I have not tried them. And not to like get off on a side note, but there's a lot of new metal detectors that have come out recently. My lamp's come out with the Manicore, the Equinox 700 and 900.
Yep.
There's been the XPJS2 and a few others. I have contemplated getting a Manicore. I've contemplated getting an Equinox 900. And the reason I even mention that is because I've thought about getting a different coil like you suggested. And I'm kind of like on the fence. I'm very happy and pleased with what I've got. So it's like, do I invest in another coil for this, or do I up it to one of the newer machines?
Yeah,
Really-
good thing about the Coil Tech. Now, if you, let's say you bought the 900 and you bought a Coil Tech coil for the Knox series, it works on the 900 just like it does on the 600 and 800.
I did not
They're
know.
interchangeable. Well, it won't work on the Manicore, but it works on the Knox series.
So if I bought an Equinox 900, my 15-inch, 6-inch coil, and this coil that you're talking about will all fit on the 900 as well.
I think so, but I know for certain that the Coil Tech coils do, because Trevor from Coil Tech has flat told us that they do, and so he's going to come in on Treasure Talk pretty soon. And it's going to be an interesting show because he's going to take us on a tour of the Coil Tech factory to show us how they're made. That ought to be an interesting visit.
Well, you may have just given me the inspiration to get an Equinox 900. Now the big hurdle is convincing the wife that it's a necessary expenditure.
Women can't never
I
have
would-
enough things. Men can't have never ever have enough detectors. That's it. Or coils.
Yep. But I will say, and I think somebody just kind of mentioned it here on the chat, that there's different modes on Equinox series, and somebody was mentioning insensitive. I'm not sure what they were referring to, but I will tell you this: if I run my Equinox 800 in field 2 with 15-inch coil and sensitivity cranked all the way up, I'm digging birdshot 6 inches down in the ground, and I've had to go to field 1 and kind of do a few things to try to dig real targets and not so much birdshot. But that's just another observation.
I'm probably going to see if I can get it retrofit carbon fiber shaft for my Equinox, because certain area where we hunt and we've had really good success, there just happens to be some really tall antennas close by, and they just make my machine chatter. I can go into single frequency mode and it'll still chatter. It'll calm down a little bit, but it'll still chatter. But when the radar gets going for the weather and they broadcast for the news, stuff like that, it picks that up. And I'll be going, my machine will be going crazy, and his will be just, as quiet as a church mouse. He's just swinging along. I'm like, are you having any interference? He said, nope. So that carbon fiber makes a big difference.
It does. And the two best manufacturers that I know are Steve's Detector Rods and Detect Ed. And
Okay.
they both have really, I mean, just state-of-the-art cam locks on them, which the Mind Lab stock shafts, their cam locks are terrible.
Well, I kind of
Have any of these little pins in it, you know, these spring pins or anything like that? You can't go wrong.
I went through the painstaking procedure of making sure that my carbon fiber shaft, the compression nut on there, it came with a steel nut and a steel butterfly nut and bolt. And I went to Lowe's and I got a plastic nut, wing nut, and bolt and put on there. I figured if I was going to do it, I was going to get rid of as much metal down there as I possibly could. I don't know if it makes a lot of a difference, but it does make a little bit of difference.
It does make a little bit of difference. And now another guy just said CKG Scoops makes a good Equinox carbon fiber shaft too. I think it comes in electric blue. So we got a question from Maria Reese. She wants to know why a 900 versus a 700. I know she does swing an Equinox. She says, is there that much of a difference? And what do you guys think on that?
I will take a little bit of a stab at that. So the difference between the 600 and the 800 is your VDI numbers. The 600, what is it, every odd number or every even number, where the 800 has the full range. The 800 has better backlighting. I think that they may have fixed that on the 600 with a firmware update. I don't know that it's really a difference in the machine. It's just a difference in the programming between the 600 and 800. I have not gotten a lot into the 700 and 900. I will say that from what I could tell that with the 600 and 800, the stock shaft is a metal shaft, whereas the 700 and 900 are some version of a carbon fiber or or polycarbonate shaft.
Did they make that backlight red?
And they changed the backlight to red, and it's got a built-in flashlight
and the vibrating feature. Supposedly they addressed the coil ear situation, as well as like you say, it's mostly carbon fiber shaft, which is a lot stronger, no wobble.
Yeah.
And supposedly it's waterproof now down to 16 feet. I personally, I had 4 Equinox 800s flood on me, so I think hopefully they got that addressed and fixed up. So that's the difference.
If I was going to buy a new machine today, I would go for the 900, just because I think it is a little bit of an improvement over the 800. I don't know that I would take the cost of a Manticore. It's supposed to have 50% more power than the Equinox 800, but if you look at the flashlight, the backlighting, the additional features, is that power really going to the core, or is that power going to keep the machine running? I don't know.
Well,
I have seen
the Manticore. People say, "Oh, yeah, it's got 50% more power," but that's not giving you 50% more depth. Don't even think that. You're not going to
right.
It's a different thing. It's a different battery in it that gives you 50% more power, because there's added features on that Manticore that it takes more power to run them. And that's what it's all about. So
I can tell you from my experience that over the years of detecting, I started out with a really low-end detector. Then I went to the AT Max, which was a mid-range, and now the Equinox, which is not top of the line, but it's definitely a very solid company that's been around a long time. They're really popular for being able to hunt in mineralized soil and black sand and stuff like that. So I have great, experience at the beach. I don't have to worry about chatter or nothing like that. But one thing I want to stress is, all the new machines are out there are really great. If you got the money, you want to slap that money on a credit card and get that Manicore. If it's worth it to you, I say do it. I say get what you want. But know this: to find the relics, you got to put in the time.
Yep.
And that's what me, Dime Detective, do. We get out there. We're out at least 3 days a week, minimum.
More.
Three or 4 days a week. You got to put in the time. And in my experience, as far as relics, coins, what have you, most of my very best finds, there are between 6 and 10 inches down. If you got a machine that'll go 10 inches, you can find the same thing I have. I'm not trying to, make any companies lose any sales, but I'm saying if you have to buy if you have to buy a low end detector, you can still find good stuff, and it's out there. But you just got to get out there and put in the time and go to the places, do the research, and get out there and hunt. It's just putting in the time. And
you got to put the time in. And regardless of what machine you got to get your coil over the target.
That's
because
true.
if there ain't nothing down there, I don't care what machine. You can spend, $5,000 on a GPX. It's not there. You're not going to find it.
Right.
And
exactly.
like you say, take the time, learn the machine, learn what you're doing, and your finds are going to go up. That's one of the things that people always say. And, they get a new machine. They say, well, I went back to places that I thought I'd hunted out, and boy, I'm starting to find stuff. Well, you know why? Because they're taking their time. It's a new machine. They're trying something new, and they're not stuck in the same old rut of, notching this out or notching that out and swinging too fast or whatever. They're slowing down. They're taking their time, and they're listening to the machine because they don't know it that well, and they're trying to see what it's telling them. That's why they're making all those finds.
Yeah. There's a popular guy on YouTube, the Gig Master, and he knows quite a few people that are in our club. They run into him at the beach all the time. But I think that Steve, who was in our club, that metal detects all the time. Like last year, Steve found like 264 rings?
Something like that.
Something like that. And I was like, you're top dog. And then he was telling us that the Gig Master found over 400 rings on the beach. But in the 5 years that I've known Steve and talked to Steve, and then he reiterated it, it's because they're out there every single day.
Yeah.
And the weather, a lot of people look out and it looks cloudy and they don't want to go outside. But those guys are out there. They've got hip waders up to their neck in the surf, up and down the beach. It doesn't matter how cold. My wife thinks that I am overly obsessed with metal detecting. I'm not only do I metal detect every chance, but I've got metal detecting stuff around the house. I'm president of Tidewater Coin and Relic Club. But like the other week, I had a cold that I just, that morning to get up and go to work, it's like I was dragging, and I get home and, she's looking at me and she's like, oh, you're going to take some NyQuil and go to bed? And I said, no, I'm going metal detecting. She just thought I was crazy. I said, well, I'm going to go social distance.
Yeah.
I just had to get out. It was not too many things that slowed me down. And it was like a month ago, we were out in the field that we really wanted to get out, and we got out there. And this is probably one of the most disappointing things. It had been a few days, dying to go metal detect. My brother and I go out there metal detecting. We've got all these layers of clothes and hot hands and boots and knit hats and scarves, and we go along, and I get a target, and I go to stick the shovel in the ground, and I might as well be just chipping on the concrete driveway because the ground was frozen about 6 or 8 inches. Week later, we did go back out there and find some nice stuff at those spots, but there's not too much that deters us from that today.
Well, when the fields are frozen, that's when y'all head into the woods, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's weird. We have places that we go that, we always get permission, but some of them are on a timeline, whether it be for construction, cutting a road in, and just like, what was it, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were at a place and we were told, just don't be out here when we're running our equipment. You can be out here any other time. And we're watching where this bulldozer started making a path for a new road across this field. And it's like, we better get it. We better get it now. It's cold. It's raining. We better get it now. And 50 feet in front of a bulldozer and an excavator, I found a mid-1800s lady's heel plate. And just a few feet away, I found a Spanish half real. And 50 feet for a bulldozer isn't much space. If we would have waited another day, we would not have gotten it at all.
Yeah. You got to get it while you can get it. That's the way it goes.
Which goes back to what you were saying about woods or fields. Yes, we do have our preferences, but sometimes we know if we don't get it when we can get it, we're never going to get it.
That's it, exactly.
You got to be adamant about it.
Right. We're our specialty is kind of like construction areas. We find out where they're going to tear down the trees for a new neighborhood, and we'll go in there as soon as the trees hit the ground and the guys go home after work. We're in there. We're hunting around the equipment. We're not messing with anybody's stuff, of course, but we're hunting everywhere. They've cleared trees out, and we're swinging. We're out there at night with our headlamps on. We all got headlamps. We all got radios. We talk to each other so we're not yelling through the woods. And that's kind of our specialty. We like to be out there and get the stuff before it's paved over.
Yep, save it
before they pave it. That's the saying.
Hell yeah. Well, you know what? Think about it. Of all the concrete that's on the ground, what do you think's laying under it? I mean, there's got to be a bunch of stuff. You look at the beach down there, okay, Virginia Beach, where Gig is. Look at all that concrete down there. What do you think is underneath all that concrete? There's got to be a ton of stuff.
That's why you see guys that will go to a sidewalk tear out and hunt it because they know there's something under there. And I proved that a couple of years back, going down to one of my local beaches where they tore out the sidewalk to replace it with a different sidewalk. I found, a barber dime and two 1917 Mercury dimes in one afternoon. And that was just a little small section of the sidewalk. Another fella showed up there while I was hunting. He said, yeah, when they cleared out all this parking lot here, he said, I was in there. I got about 20 pieces of silver. So,
well, sidewalks, for instance, that are really, really old, when they tear them out, then, there could have been stuff that people walk along those sidewalks, lost coins, and they work their way under the sidewalk, under the edges. A lot of that happens. It can even work its way 6-7 inches underneath the sidewalk. So sidewalk tear-outs are gold mines.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
One thing that I've learned being president of the local metal detecting club, we have our specialty, our fields, our woods. We've got people that they like the tot lots, the playgrounds. We've got other people, their specialty is the beach. And some of them are into diving and so on and so forth. But I have found out from the people that are diehard beach metal detecting, the people that there's somewhat of a misconception that, you just go out and walk up and down the beach and you find things. But those guys, the diehard people, Gig Master, Steve, and a few others, they're looking at the weather. They're looking at the tides, because we've got Virginia Beach down here. When they have big events like something in the water and a few others, they're looking at the times for those. They have been standing there when like something in the water is over and the barricades are up. And as soon as the barricades go down, they flock down on the beach. There's a bunch of different variables that they are looking for that really increase their chances of finding things. But one of the other things that I never took into consideration, we always do our finds of the month at our metal detecting meetings. And every once in a while, these beach hunters will bring in Civil War bullets, buckles, so on and so forth. And I'm like, how are you finding that down there? And what they're doing is Virginia Beach it's not natural anymore. It's pumped sand.
Mhm.
You know, when they're looking at the weather and this other stuff, they're watching the dredges. They got friends that are on the dredges, and they pick them when they're at a certain place out there in the Elizabeth River or along Yorktown, wherever it happens to be, and where that sand is going on the beach, and they flock to it when it hits the beach.
Yep.
I'm really surprised at that.
Well, a good beach hunter will read the beach. When you go down at the beach and you see, and specifically when the water's coming in, the waves are coming in. If you look down there and you've got in your field of vision, it's coming in to here. But down there about 50 or 100 yards, and the waves coming in, it's coming in up to there. That's a low spot. Hunt for low spots because heavy targets tend to gravitate to the low spots. If you're hunting in the water, for instance, you find a trough. People say, "Oh, well, I'll find my target line." 9 times out of 10, it's in a trough.
Yep, I've hunted many troughs.
And that's where you find the good stuff because as the wave comes in, the heavy items, boom, they sink in those troughs. It kind of not 100%, but it does collect them. So there's science to it all. It's just exactly like when you're going hunting a field. If you've looked at the topographical maps and the old maps, and you know about where the the structures were, then when you go down in that field and all of a sudden it's very quiet, and then you start getting a bunch of iron hits. That's got to tell you something. It tells you to slow down because there was something happening there.
We got permission from a lot of farmers in the area, and you'd be surprised how many of them we go out in their farm field where we've gotten permission, and we're always looking at different things that obvious people would look for. But one of the things you're talking about iron, another thing we start looking for is red brick. We see pieces of red brick, we start slowing down as well. And I think we found this past year, over half a dozen colonial brick foundations in fields that the farmers had no idea that they were out there.
Yep.
One of them, he found a Lord Baltimore shilling.
Ooh. The find of a lifetime. Anybody's ever watched my channel, go watch a video called Lord Baltimore Unearthed. That was my jackpot coin. That was 1659 Lord Baltimore shilling. It's a really good find, really good video. I did sell it, unfortunately. I needed a dinero at the time.
Well, things happen,
You know what? I've got some replicas that Dime Detective gave me for Christmas. He felt sorry. He said, "Well, he had to sell it, so I'll get him a replica." So I got a replica set of the Lord Baltimore shilling, the groat, which is a 4 pence and a 6 pence. And but yeah, I sold that thing at Stack's Bowers, and a lot of people saw that live stream. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what, guys? The hour is gone.
Already.
It was quick.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Everybody has really enjoyed it, I think. I know I enjoyed it. And y'all going to be at Dig Stock, I hope. So maybe I'll get to shake your hand because I'm going to be going to Dig Stock.
Can I say one thing? Surfside Dan was in the chat, and he's got the Manicore. And he said that the Manicore is the deepest multi-frequency VLF machine that he's ever used. So if that gives anybody any idea, I think that's worth mentioning.
Yep. Surfside Dan, he's the man. Good friend of the show. So, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Hope to meet you soon in the future. Happy hunting and dig deeper, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Good night,
inspiration.
everybody.
Good night. Great guys. Very knowledgeable, makes a lot of finds, know what they're doing. So I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Like I said, this is going to be the last Treasure Tales until April. I'm going on hiatus, a little vacation, if you will. I need a break to recharge and do a little hunting myself. Treasure Talk will be going on just like before. We won't miss a beat every Monday night at 7 p.m. If you are not a member of Treasure Talk YouTube, make sure you get subscribed to the channel, send the email, and then you can enter in for all the great giveaways that we do on Treasure Talk. And we do some great giveaways. We got a lot of really, really fascinating guests coming up on Treasure Talk. So get on over. This is the channel that you subscribe to. It's the same channel as Treasure Talk and Treasure Tales. So subscribe. Send the email to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com after you ask for all notifications. And then look for the videos when I give the entries and the phrases to do, and be tuned in to win. You may win something great. So happy hunting, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in April from Sebastian with Epic Show with Terry Shannon, Carl Fismer, Mark Littleton, Sid and KT Jones from the Atosha crew. We're going to have a great time. It'll be a very, very good show. We'll see you then. Happy hunting, everybody, and dig deeper.